Hello and welcome to another Canguro English Daily Digest. My name is Krashen and today is Tuesday, best day of the week. Today I'm going to talk about something that I do not condone. Condone is today's word of the day. And basically condone means to pardon or to forgive. Think about that word, forgive. That is literally the translation of this word from Latin. For and give, don. Don is from the Latin verb donare, which means to give. We have this in English. Donate is from the Latin. So condone is basically to forgive or pardon. And normally in English, we use it in a negative way, like I do not condone his behavior. He steals cars, he is a corrupt politician, he cheats on his wife. I do not condone that behavior. So it sort of has a meaning of like, I don't forgive the behavior, I don't accept it, I don't encourage that behavior, for example. Okay, really important word. And something that I do not condone is a very popular theory about language learning, which is Stephen Krashen's input hypothesis. Okay, so Stephen Krashen is a very influential and well-known person in the world of language learning, especially in the United States. He has had a massive influence on the way that people learn languages in the American public education system. Very powerful person. And in the 70s, he developed some theories about language learning, and one of them was the input hypothesis, which is basically that it has various parts, but the important parts are that we learn language through lots of just basically input, and that we don't really need to even pay attention to that input. We kind of, similar to children don't go to class to learn language, they learn by sort of absorbing by osmosis. His theory suggests that all learning happens in this way. There's a difference between acquisition and learning. So there's a difference between maybe kind of passively watching television and absorbing language and actually like watching television and taking notes and concentrating, and for him there's a big difference. And his hypothesis is that we learn languages best through lots of input and lots of like basically passive input. Put on the television, put on the radio, read a book, you just absorb it and it's automatic, right? Now, unfortunately, this is a very popular idea. But I think the first thing is it's important to note that this hypothesis has been around since the 1970s and it's still only a hypothesis. Right? It's not proven, and one of the reasons that it's not proven is because, like a lot of Krashen's language learning hypotheses, they are impossible to prove scientifically because they're very vague. You can only test something if you know exactly with precision what you're trying to test. Science is not about abstract ideas. Science is about very concrete ideas. And so this is one important thing. His input hypothesis is very vague. You could say that it's untestable, right? That's the first important thing. And the second thing is that there's really no evidence. And I want to talk about one particular example to give you an idea, okay? So for those of you who are interested in reading this paper, this scientific paper, okay, It's from 2001 by Barbara Wassick and Mary Alice Bond from Johns Hopkins University. And it's called Beyond the Pages of a Book, Interactive Book Reading and Language Development in Preschool Classrooms. Okay? Now, this is interesting for a number of reasons. One is because it talks about preschool children. So they're 4 and 5 years old, which is exactly when, we have this idea that children learn language without any effort, right? They just sit around like big sponges and just absorb language. Not true, but anyway. So it's a perfect example. Now, what they did is they had 2 groups of teachers. One group of teachers, what they did was they just read books to children. So they had these 2 books, these very carefully selected books, and the teachers would sit and read the books. And that's all they did. Pure input. The children sat and they listened. They were not being instructed. They were supposedly acquiring language instead of learning language. So the children in that group were following exactly Krashen's input hypothesis. They were receiving input with no learning, okay? So the second group, they did something called interactive reading. So what they did was they read the books to the children, and then they would ask them questions about the book and about the vocabulary in the book. And they weren't yes or no questions, they were open questions like, what do you think of this? How did this make you feel? Okay, open questions. And also, they did other interactive things like they promoted discussion between the students, and they promoted discussion between the students and the teacher. And they also had a box of objects. And, the objects were related directly to the vocabulary in the book. Okay? So that is a completely different beast, a completely different animal. One is pure input and the other one is communication, right? One is about using the language, about output, okay? A combination of input and output, about interaction, about making it real, touching things, looking at things, engaging brain, okay? Now, the difference then when they finished teaching the children the vocabulary in the books, the 2 groups, they tested the children, they tested their vocabulary, and you will probably not be surprised to learn that there was a massive difference in their results, okay? So, for example, in the control group, so in the group that only read the books, the score pre-test was of their vocabulary from 100. The score was 72.51. Okay? 72.51, the children. And then after the book reading, when they tested them again, there was 72.43. Their score actually reduced. They got worse at vocabulary. But the other group, the interactive reading group, they started at 74.37, slightly higher, but at the end, their result was 81.58. A significant increase, okay? That's significant in a vocabulary test. So, I just want you to realize that there's no secret here. This is not a technique. Learning a language is about using it and interacting with it, not about sitting there like a zombie. That's all I wanted to say about that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's Daily Digest. I'm Christian. This is Canguro English. I'll see you in class.